to my class of operating system. Today we will learn classical problem of concurrent programming. Let us start with the definition of concurrent process. Concurrent process, what do you mean by concurrent process? Concurrent process often need to share data. How data is shared? It is maintained either in shared memory or files and resources. If there is no controlled access to shared data, some processes will obtain an inconsistent view of this data. The action performed by concurrent processes will then depend on the order in which the execution is interleaved. This order cannot be predicted. Why? There are three factors. Why it cannot be predicted? There are three factors: activities of other process, handling of input output and interrupts, scheduling policies of operating system. Now we study shared variable problem. If there are two processes P1 and P2 and they are running the same procedure and have access to same variable A, processes can be interpreted anywhere. If P1 is first interrupted after user input and P2 executes entirely, then the character echoed by P1 will be the only one read by P2. Encode means to display. So this is the problem of shared variable. Let us take a second example. Simple shared variable. Two processes are each reading characters typed at their respective terminals. They want to keep running count of total number of character typed in both terminal. That means they want to check that how many characters are typed in both the terminal. A shared variable v is introduced each time a character is typed. A process uses the code v is equal to v plus 1. That means increment operator is used to update the count. During testing, it is observed that the count recorded in V is less than the actual number of characters typed. Why? That means it shows inconsistent status since the number of character type is lower than the value of V. What happened? Why this problem arises? The programmer failed to realize that the assignment was not executed as a single indivisible action, but rather as the following set of action. So, what are the action? Move R0, that means value, to variable V. Then increment R0 and then again value of V is moved to variable R0. As a result, it becomes, or the value becomes, inconsistent. Now we have seen this in earlier class also. We will study this in this class from little more characteristics. The producer consumer problem. Since this is also a problem of concurrent transactions or concurrent processes. From time to time, the producer places an item in the buffer. The consumer removes an item from the buffer. We need to be careful since synchronization or coordination is required between producer and consumer. The consumer must wait if the buffer is empty. The producer must wait if the buffer is full. Since the producer is producing the process, so he is filling up the process in the buffer and the consumer is consuming processes. So they both should check one for empty and one for full status. Typical solution would involve a shared variable count. Shared variable count, which we have earlier discussed in last slide, that is the solution, also known as bounded buffer problem. Now we have learned critical section. Now there's one problem, or a problem arises in critical section. So we will learn the critical section problem. A critical section is a sequence of activities or statement in a process during which a mutually excluded resource, either hardware or software, must be accessed. The critical section problem is to ensure that two concurrent activity does not share data at the same time. A solution to mutual exclusion problem must satisfy the following three requirements. One is mutual exclusion, second is progress, and the third is bounded weighting. Now, what are the requirements to critical section problem? Mutual exclusion. If process Pi is executing in its critical section, then no other processes can be executing in their critical section. Second is progress. If no process is executing in its critical section and there exist some processes that wish to enter their critical section, then the selection of processes that will enter the critical section next cannot be postponed indefinitely. Third one is bounded weighting. A bound must exist on the number of time that other processes are allowed to enter their critical sections. After a process has made a request to enter its critical section and before that a request is granted, that is bounded weighting. So we assume that each process executes at a non-zero speed. Also, no assumption concerning relative speed of n processes. Now we start with reader's writer problem. Suppose that a database is to be shared among several concurrent processes. Some of these processes may want only to read the database, whereas other may want to update. Updation means reading as well as writing. We distinguish between these two types of processes by referring to the former as reader and latter as writers. Obviously, if two readers access the shared data simultaneously, no adverse effect will result. However, if a writer and some other processes can be either writer or reader, access the database simultaneously, chaos may ensure. To ensure that these difficulties don't arise, we require that the writers have exclusively access to the shared database while writing to the database. This synchronization problem is referred to as readers-writers problem. Since it was originally stated, it has been used to test nearly every new synchronization primitive. The readers-writer problem has several variations, all involving priority. The simplest one we refer to as first readers-writer problem requires that no reader be kept waiting unless a writer has already obtained permission to use the shared object. In other words, no reader should wait for other readers to finish simply because a writer is waiting. The second writer's problem requires that Once a writer is ready, the writer performs its right as soon as possible. In other words, if a writer is waiting to access the object, no new readers may start reading. A solution to either problem may result in starvation. In the first case, the writers may starve. In the second case, readers may starve. This is the diagrammatic representation of readers-writers problem. So what I have said that a solution to either problem may result in starvation. In the first case, writers may starve, and in the second case, readers may starve. For this reason, other variants of the problem have been proposed. Next, we present a solution to first readers-writers problem. So a solution to readers-writer problem is also there. Now, when this is the diagram when no one is accessing the database. In the diagram you can see that suppose say reader 4, readers can enter, and writer 1, writer can enter. Since no one is accessing the database, so there is no restriction on reader and writer to access the database. When writer is waiting in the database, or when writer is writing in the database, readers cannot enter, writers cannot enter. Any process cannot enter whether it wants to read or write the database. Since one writer is writing in the database, that means some updation is being performed in the database. Now we start with dining philosopher problem. We have seen a philosopher problem. Now we start with dining philosopher's problem. What is dining philosopher's problem? Consider 5 philosophers who spend their lives thinking and eating. The philosophers share a circular table. With one chopstick between each pair of philosophers. There is one chopstick between each philosopher. A philosopher may eat if he can pick up 2 chopsticks adjacent to him. In the center of the table, see the diagram. In the center of table there is a bowl of rice, and the table is laid with 5 single chopsticks. See that in the center there is a table is a bowl of rice, and the table is laid with 5 single chopsticks. When a philosopher thinks, he does not interact with his colleagues. From time to time, a philosopher gets hungry and tries to pick up the 2 chopsticks that are closest to her. So closest to her means the chopsticks that are between her or him or his left and right neighbors. A philosopher may pick up only 1 chopstick at a time. He cannot pick up a chopstick that is already in the hand of a neighbor. When a hungry philosopher has both his chopsticks at the same time, he eats without releasing his chopstick. When he is finished eating, he puts down both of her chopsticks and starts thinking again. Now, the dining philosopher's problem is considered a classic synchronization problem. Neither is considered a classic philosopher problem, neither because of its practical importance nor because computer scientists dislike philosophers, but because it is an example of large class of concurrency control problem. It is simple representation of the need to allocate several resources among several processes in a deadlock-free and starvation-free manner. So, this is all about dining philosopher's problem. Now, what is the solution of dining philosopher's problem? First of all, let me tell you that although this solution guarantees that no two neighbors are eating simultaneously, it nevertheless must be rejected because it could create a deadlock. Suppose that all five philosophers become hungry simultaneously and each grabs his left chopstick. All the elements of chopstick will now be equal to 0. When each philosopher tries to grab his right chopstick, he will be delayed forever. Several possible remedies to the deadlock problem are listed. Allow at most 4 philosophers to be sitting in the table. Allow a philosopher to pick up his chopstick only if both chopsticks are available. To do this, he must pick them up in a critical section. Use an asymmetric solution, that is, an odd philosopher picks up first his left chopstick and then his right chopstick, whereas an even philosopher picks up his right chopstick and then his left chopstick. You can see in the slide the structure of a random philosopher is given as follows. Now weight chopstick I and then weight chopstick I plus 1 modulus operator 5. That means critical section is being implemented, and then the philosopher starts eating the rice. Once he has completed, then he writes or he gives signal chopstick I and then signal chopstick I plus 1 modulus 5, and then he again changes his mode from eating to thinking. This is the solution of dining philosopher's problem. It is explained furthermore in the slide that in the structure, first weight operation is performed on chopstick I and chopstick I plus 1 modulus 5. This means that the philosopher I has picked up the chopstick on his sides, then the eating function is performed. After that, signal operation is performed on chopstick I and chopstick I plus 1 modulus 5. This means that philosopher I has eaten and put down the chopstick on his sides, then the philosopher goes back to thinking. Thank you for watching my presentation. Hope it has cleared your concept.